So...
Pull up on your phone all the different backstories he's had so far.
What?
You should pull up on your phone all the different backstories he's had so far. We've written down.
Did we write anything down? I don't know if we wrote anything down. I don't think we wrote anything down.
We wrote a lot of past stuff down. Did you read it?
I can hear words you're saying, you goddamn retard.
We wrote down a lot of the past stuff. I remember like the original stuff, but did we do the stuff that we spoke?
Did we? I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't write anything down.
I thought I asked you if you had stuff on him that you could pull up on your phone, and you said yes, we'll do that later when we're recording.
I still can't hear you, you fucking cretin. And then on top of that, no, I don't think I said anything like that. What makes you think that?
I believe that we've written stuff down. But regardless, do we remember what it was?
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember everything. This is not, this is the kind of thing that I can actually remember for like long periods of time. I'm not going to be able to remember it all back to back to back, but at the point when we get to the story, in which we would need specific information, I'll be able to remember it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we already had several questions we didn't answer yesterday. It's just about laying up the timeline. So, I mean, like, basically, let's just start on the rough draft right now. You go over how you think the story would go right now if you had to make it. Just talk about it.
So, would it start out before where it was the discovery of the equation? That comes first. Is that an important factor in the story anymore? First comes the equation and then the simulation?
What kind of question is that?
What?
What kind of question is that? What do you mean?
It's a very obvious question. Are we basing the story off of the beginning of it, as in the beginning of when they discovered the equation and everyone celebrates the equation was discovered, like it originally was? Or would it be that has it been kept a secret for all this time and they don't reveal it until the simulation?
That's not the question you asked. That is a good question. Now, the question you just asked me was, how public is the knowledge of the equation? The first question you asked me was is the equation still part at all?
So
of course, the equation is still part of it. Starting out is still obviously it has to start out with the equation. The equation is literally the beginning of the unfolding of everything. So of course we have to start out with the equation. But the next question you asked me was how public is it going to be? And that's a question we have to answer. But I don't think we answer these questions like this. I don't think that we find the questions one by one. I think that we create a rough draft. I think that literally you start right now, just say I knew we started in the building. You know what I mean? With the
we don't start in the rough draft of the characters and what they're doing. We would need to understand the world building of what's going on.
No, you're absolutely wrong. No, exact opposite. Instead of sitting around for 4 hours answering boring questions that don't.
Yes or no, is the secret program that he is a part of, is it public or not? That's what when we say he's in the room. Do we say he's in the secret room or the public? That's what we have to figure out right now before we write the sentence.
Yes, so you would throw out one option on the rough draft, and then we would stop and we would go, okay, is this how we want to do it? So what you would say right now is you would say, and so let's say we start out with them in the party room. Well, now is that actually how we want to do that? Because if we start them out in the party room, then we have to make the equation completely public, and if the equation is completely public, then the simulation is going to be reasonably public. So you have to think about that. But then we also have to weigh, if we're trying to make the equation private, then how do you know, the government's going to have to dump trillions and trillions of dollars into some project that the people are going to have to understand to a degree. So, I mean, I would say at the very least we make the simulation relatively public.
We're trying to make a simulation?
No, not the simulation. I mean the equation. I think we make the equation relatively public, but I don't know if that means that we make the equation known at all. The simulation, god damn it.
Alright, so perhaps he is the figurehead, the main character of acythrial. He's the figurehead of the equation, but in secret he's also a part of the simulation program. I kind of see him as them using him as sort of this little puppet that
he shouldn't be the figurehead or whatever.
Figurehead, not necessarily as a force. He's very young. He's obviously not the one in control, but they're the ones that they kind of prop up and say, hey, this guy, we put the equation in his head or something, and through him we're going to eventually get to the bottom of this. Not letting them know in the background.
See, I don't think so at all. I don't think that he should be known about. I mean, he's such a morally questionable entity, a being that was crafted half technologically, half biologically specifically to be tortured with the equation his
Well,
entire
I think
life?
that was the torturing part was not publicly. He could be seen as like, hey, we created
I don't think
a god.
he should be
We created a god, and we're going to create you as gods eventually. We just need to.
That's basically admitting the simulation. If we go that far, I would say we just admit to the simulation entirely, because the people already know so much.
So what would be the specific alternative? Is just he's unknown. He's just celebrating along with everyone else that the discovery of the equation. And no one knows.
No, he's in his cage, like we were talking about. He's in his mansion. Like he does not have much access to the public. He's got access to his guards and the scientists and the psychologists. But
sure, I'm just saying like he's along with he's not next to them. He is in parallel to them. He's not known.
I don't know what that question means. He's not particularly excited when the equation is solved. If that's what you're asking, I would imagine.
Well, I don't think. No, because before he wouldn't exist before the equation. Like, at least.
Well, yeah, that is another thing I was thinking. But technically, we could make him exist before the equation. You would just have to be experimental, which is why he is.
He could be a human, yeah, a human brought into the experiment and turned into a cyborg.
Yeah, I mean, he could have even been an integral part of finishing it. But I mean, I don't know. I honestly would probably stick with the first thing we said, which is you just make it where he comes after the equation. I would probably do that. Make him. I don't know. It's weird. That whole thing's weird.
Maybe they discover the equation and then they put the equation inside of a baby. And the baby grows up.
Obviously that's his whole origin story, but like that's literally his whole character. But the question is it's like, if you do that, now the simulation has to be done then, and then you are pretty much you can't make it public then, because then you're ruining the whole thing that happens later. So it's like pretty much you. I think we scrapped the simulation party scene. It seems.
The equation party scenes.
Huh?
The equation party scenes.
Yeah. You just can't. I don't know if you can do that. No. That doesn't seem to make much sense.
Okay. So, and we go with the previous idea that this world is dying and we're desperately looking for stuff like that?
What is it?
Because we had one idea before that this world was dying off, and that's why they were like celebrating the discovery of this equation that would bring hope again. Or would it just be?
I don't like that idea, although it's not terrible. I just probably not. No.
Yeah. So just it's still a utopia. People are still living their life, whatever.
It's similar to what we have as utopia, where people are pretty unhappy, but also things are pretty good materialistically. You can't really complain, but at the same time, no one's happy.
Yeah. And alright, so it's kept a secret. He's kept a secret, and he's alone, chilling in this place. Scientists.
So you can keep the party scene, but but what is the point now? Like, what is the for that party scene? We're gonna have like a mirrored A/B thing with who? I forget who the mirror was gonna be with, but you were gonna have a mirror of somebody and somebody else. It was gonna be the future and the past. You're gonna see the future mirror of the past and an A and B plot. But we scrapped that already at the beach. But no, you can keep the party and then you can just have that be his birth scene. It's just like the government does let the people know about the equation. They let people know, look, we're reaching the end of science. We're about to understand how everything came to exist. And then people are like, that's pretty sweet. And like, hey, we did it. And they're like, oh, that's even sweeter. Let's eat some cookies at work. And then they do that. And then that is basically, you could now do a mirrored A/B of the people celebrating the discovery of the equation and an infant getting a giant technological needle placed in his brain and then experiencing being, you know what I mean?
So would they be told the specifics of it, or would they say equation discovered, or would they say...
What are the specifics, though? I don't think there are any specifics known. I think at this point in time that the government genuinely lets people know, hey, we discovered an equation. We don't know what it does yet. Here's an equation. And then in the background, the government's like, okay, we need to see what this shit does.
I meant like, did they let them know about the baby?
Oh, no, definitely not, no.
Alright.
That's what I'm saying. I think the simulation and the baby, those are kept under wraps until, like, the last moment. Because what we were talking about before was that the kid, what are we calling him? This guy's acythrial, right? The baby? Acythrial, we were gonna say that he was the one who made the simulation public. Like, he put out the code necessary for people to simulate it, and that's what like fucked over the entire population. And he had to be responsible for that, and then he had to be responsible for like curing it by giving people the religion that he discovered that made him appreciate reality.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so in this case, people would have to know basically nothing about the simulation. They only know about the equation, and then so it's like the celebration happens where they discover the equation, and then maybe I don't know, maybe the government tells them something about. The people would have to be extremely curious what the fruits of the labor of all the science.
Maybe they're like, maybe it's kind of like good news, bad news that they tell them it's like, all right, we discovered the equation, but maybe we'll figure this out in the next 1,000 years. When in reality, they know we're going to get to the bottom of this.
Well, that's why I do think that's what they do, but that's what I was saying. Maybe. Like, I feel like the people would not be very happy with that. I think it would be more realistic if maybe the government did drip feed them, like, little things. Like, we think this may be the source for other life. We think we may be able to either get somewhere else. Or, they're at least telling them basic knowledge, but they're not saying the words, yeah, it's a simulation. We are now capable of computer simulating other dimensions.
Yeah. So, what age do you think he, like, is it just from the start he's exploring other dimensions, or like when does that start?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think literally he's like born to do that. He's like literally like crafted, molded. You could even say he doesn't even have a baby stage. He's just crafted as a child. That he's permanently held in like a childlike state, or born as an adult, never experienced as a childhood. We can do whatever we want. But yes, I don't think you have him be a citizen that's like kidnapped and has like a life beforehand or anything. What was the last thing we talked about?
That he was genetically engineered post the simulation, not a baby born to a human.
What did you say?
He wasn't a baby born to a human, he was genetically engineered to host it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's like part machine, part human, genetically bred.
Yeah.
In the test tube.
I just see like his eyes are blue.
Blue?
Blue. Or at least one eye or something. But so I wrote this little outline. Public discovery of the equation everyone celebrates. Acythrial is genetically engineered to host simulation. Many years pass. Acythrial is alone chilling in his place. The only people he knows are scientists and researchers. He hates his life and his job. He goes through a few heavens and hells. He eventually encounters the lizard and teaches him a way out of the suffering. Over the course of a few weeks, he gets happier and realizes what the lizard teaches. He formulates an escape plan and sets out to put his ideas into words and brings the simulation to the masses. A few years later, he successfully distributes it but causes mass panic. He teaches everyone of the frameworks and stabilizes society. So, what to customize from there?
What was the last event we talked about? So we start off with what, a simulation party, and then with the simulation party, you A to B, like literally you're going back and forth between like the scientists being like, look what we've done. It's like the opposite of Oppenheimer. They don't feel bad for what they've done. They feel like they've done a great thing, and truly, I mean, they have. But at the same time, then you see this child, the cost of the science. See what they're doing to him. You see them breeding him in a test tube, and then you get to experience his first experiences.
Yeah. So just like it would first, you'd see him as a baby being in test tubes and being created and just whatever that mess would be, and then you just see his miserable life years later. And then I imagine you first then see a montage of him at his job, just going through multiple different dimensions of different varieties, some good, some bad, some mediocre, and then eventually through that he meets the lizard, and I don't know if we'd add in another like subplot from there. There's another character.
We did. Remember, it was the after. Like he dies. Like the government murders him.
Right.
Or someone else.
Okay, so he causes a mass panic, and in that mass panic, he is somehow killed. And perhaps someone either he taught firsthand, or someone who's inspired off of his ideas, or perhaps someone who eventually at first hated his ideas, but then gets perspective change.
No, I don't think that. I think it's just some dude.
Right, so someone that he's inspired by. He hears about him in the galactic paper. Yeah, so the government probably murks him, but he's seen as a martyr. Probably inspires to create a little simulation cult. So yeah, then we could go into that guy being like a leader of like people in support of the simulation, and like, what if that group was called the Hand? And their symbol was the hand.
What group?
So essentially, after Acythrial was assassinated, he could be seen as a martyr by many.
Yeah, I
and
heard that part.
a group could form.
And what?
And a group could form, inspired off his ideas, and the leader would be that new character who.
I don't know if we want to go into all that. I think afterwards it should literally just be like an individual's experience with the religion. Like, no, it's not exciting after he dies. The excitement all happens with the lizard and him. after he dies, it's literally just some dude. Like I imagine like Pyrocynical. You ever watch Pyrocynical?
Yeah.
Like just some loser faggot who just has to like experience the world crumbling around him and then uses the religion to be happy. Like just the most average person in the entire world coming to terms with God. That's what I think the third part should be. The one thing that's gonna suck so bad if you stay down here and I go up to Kentucky, which is not gonna happen, well, two things. Jesus. Nan and Pap are gonna have me over every single day, and I'm gonna despise that. And then on top of that, we can't spar. There's no way to spar over fucking Discord. Like the story, I think we'll be able to get the story out just fine. Like I don't think it's gonna feel any different over Discord really. But there's no way to spar. We haven't sparred at all. I would like to. I would like to spar every single day if my back would eventually heal, and I mean hopefully it does. I would like to get good at that, and there's no way to do that over the phone, which sucks.
Yeah. And in the beginning, we were able to do it just fine during the day, but now they literally
The hottest days on record, yeah. Cyberpunk is so cool now. I have it set up. Now that I can literally just pick up the controller, press this button, and that turns on gyro. Now then I just press it again and set it down, and now I've got a steering wheel that just sits right beside the desk.
Do you think a steering wheel would be less fun than gyro?
What do you mean?
Like one of those video game steering wheels?
Do I think it'd be less fun than what?
Than gyro?
I think it might be more fun. I just don't know. I really like the physicality of a wheel and the way you like can just drag your hand along it and it resets physically and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what was the last chronological point we talked about?
Last point then, Ronald would be some guy hears of acythrial's ideas, begins to wrestle with his frameworks.
What is it?
That some guy hears of acythrial and begins to wrestle with his frameworks.
Yeah. We had some literally me character. Who is that one supposed to be?
I've seen those and I've never seen it used.
Mm.
I've always seen these and I've never seen it used. That's weird.
Hopefully, I hit this 18 times. So I hit the green every time.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm out. I leave Tuesday, come back Thursday.
Where you going?
Chicago.
Sounds like fun.
Doing some golfing. Doing some golfing and dodging bullets.
Who's shooting at you? Chicago
It's
residents?
called Chicago.
Not everyone there was gonna go.
I am checking the bag.
What is it?
I am checking the bag. So you can take your gun. Check the bag.
It's weird.
What was the last thing we talked about?
Um, that there was some character we had in the past that was a literally me character.
Yeah, who was that? I'm assuming it's supposed to be character 3.
Where would he have been?
Hmm?
Where would he have been in the simulation or outside the simulation?
No, it's the same character. Character 3.
And this guy, the one that hears it,
Huh?
he'd be like a regular person like us.
That's not what I meant. I mean, before it was literally me. Like literally, he was like literally me. Like he was literally me. He was like a YouTuber, philosophy, like trying to spread it to the masses. He just wasn't different from me as a human being. I don't know how we did that before. I don't know how that fit into the plot, but
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it would make sense.
no, it
for
wouldn't. No, it wouldn't, because he's getting his entire philosophy from the guy. And like the two people, he's getting his entire philosophy from the lizard, and then the distributed version of the lizard's philosophy through the mouth of the acythrial. He's not getting any unique thoughts at all.
Unless he has them.
Huh?
I mean, I guess. Well, the idea would be that if he got his own ideas and then saw it being like others talking about similar things and say this was confirmation of it, and then
No, I don't want to do that though, because then we're getting into retarded territories of you have one guy in human society who already came to conclusions, and you have another guy who came to conclusions, and you have a lizard guy who came to conclusions. You've got like 3 people who are all coming to the same conclusions simultaneously. It's just like weird. It's just statistically anomalous. It's like a.
But it's like, okay, we're trying to tell the people you don't need to be a lizard person in war, and you don't need to be genetically modified.
Yeah, so then why? Well, the point still stands. You tell people you're not a person who innately knows it. You're not some person with innate knowledge. You're just some average person.
But there might be some people who do have that like innate curiosity and some realizing that something might be beyond what they current understanding.
Those people are represented by the lizard and the acythrial. There would be no point in making this character also innately have knowledge that's statistically retarded. We're dipping into like novel territory.
Then we're just saying he's not a literal new character. Then I guess.
That's correct. That's what I was saying. I was saying I don't understand how we did that before.
Yeah.
Like literally, I don't get it at all. Like how we could never could have given him original ideas because the whole time his ideas were pirated from acythrials. So I just retarded. I don't understand what we were thinking with that. I'd be curious what we were.
Yeah, I can't find any previous documents I have on.
Yeah.
I do have some in the store, but
I really, really like the ability for people to crash around me. It's very fun to watch. Just some truck in front of me just slam into the wall and then it's curving inside. I'm gonna dodge around them.
yeah, that seems like such a weird feature that I'm not seeing in any other game.
Yeah, it's like the front flip feature you showed me the other day. It's just like, what? Why don't you put that in everything? Found so many really good breakcore mixes. It's crazy. What an awesome genre.
Perfect working music.
It really is. It would also be exquisite trippy music. Like, I wish I knew that music genre existed in all my other shows. I think I even did for some of them. I just didn't even think about mixing it.
We were listening to no, what is it?
Huh?
I believe we listened to some of it similar to it. That
Yeah,
one
it was
their camper.
Yeah, we did. It was called. I just mean like the whole genre.
Yeah.
Like I knew breakcore existed, but I didn't know like you could just click on any breakcore video on YouTube and it was good. We listened to that one I brought up yesterday, Cyberpsychosis Part 2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Driver,
What's up?
come figure this out. I'd do it from the other side if I were you. Whenever I get home and I can suspend this thing from the ceiling by rubber bands, I'm gonna use it with one hand completely. Look how I'm already doing it. And look how good I can do it with one hand. And imagine now that it's a zero gravity. I think I'm gonna prefer it to a steering wheel after I get a zero grav.
And you've done that before?
It feels really good. You should play Overwatch like that. But with one hand, I'm capable of. Ooh, so clean, so clean.
That's your local highway.
Huh? Yeah, the whole map looks fucking amazing, dude. But yeah, with one hand, I'm capable of dipping and diving and weaving and wheeling, baby. It feels so fucking good. Let me do wheelies. Let me do the wheelie mod already. Good God.
Or use weapons on it.
Yeah, Jesus. But God, this feels good. You gonna try it? I've made the controller feel different. You're gonna need to sit down because that's plugged in. It's gay. I don't know why. It's a Bluetooth controller. I don't know why it needs plugged in. And here's the weirdest part. It's plugged into the wall. But it needs to be plugged into the wall to work. That's weird. Makes no sense.
You should also download a mod that adds like a nitro boost.
It's like more speed. I didn't see one like that, but there should be one.
I'm shocked.
I'll be surprised if there's just bikes later in the game with that feature.
That didn't go well.
The sensitivity's pretty high, so you have to roll slow. I see it. Both triggers at the same time to spin. You don't want flicks, you want slow rolls. And you can speed up that roll. The main way you want to know how fast you're going is when you feel the clicks in the controller. That
Yeah.
tick, 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 tick. That's letting you know how many steers you're doing. Which feels really cool and weird. That like clicking mechanic. I feel like I'm like echolocating where I'm about to drive. Also, it just feels like sensorily well. Like it feels like I'm popping bubbles or whatever in the controller.
Yeah.
You have to like look directly at the seat. Then here. There you go. Now spin both triggers. Yeah, they made the city look like King's Island. Just like fire pillars and shit. Like that shit while listening to Nietzsche feels so good. It's just the perfect level of distracting.
Yeah, and also it builds concentration. So if you had an audio playing, I think it would make you just more concentrated.
It would. You would. Yeah. The more focused you become on the audiobook, the better you become at driving, and they would become each other, just like driving a real bike feels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sweet.
That's amazing.
And yeah, you could set that up on your PlayStation, which is insane.
Yeah, definitely want to do that.
And then you could do GTA, or I could do GTA. Both driving around different cities, one real, one futuristic.
Wonder which one feels better.
Yeah, I don't know. Different frame rates.
I would have to go with the one that would, like, I bet there's a GTA mod that lets you go like really 300 miles per hour, and that one would have to win because I think you would have to naturally want to increase the speed to feel like more stimulus.
Too much speed with books is just terrible. You end up only like distracted with each and every individual hump. You want it to be like, I like the speed of Cyberpunk, and even if I could get a boost mod, I probably wouldn't use it because boosts end up being just like really annoying. You want like one consistent track of movement, and you want just like slight obstacles.
Yeah.
Like Burnout Paradise. Look up Burnout Paradise Remastered gameplay. You might like that game. I already bought that game too. This is the one that EA is fucked over so bad that you have to install a patch just to play the game on a PC. Like you buy the game for PC and then you have to install a patch just to play it on a PC. That's how bad it is.
It's perfect.
The compass at the top of the screen points to the finish line, and the road signs help you find the next turn. Any shortcuts you'll have to find for yourself.
Let's get 40 seconds.
Event wins are shown on your driver's license. Keep up your winning streak to advance to the next license.
Vote. Like, hey, we're making a new game. What do you want us to prioritize? Graphics? You choose. What do you want? It's like a character stat bill. It's like, what do you want?
The map at the bottom of the screen shows your surroundings, and the signs at the top of the screen show the name of the road you're on and the turns coming up.
Alright, so what was the last? Yeah, but that's not one.
Find the ramps marked with flashing lights. They're the best places in the city to pull off
There's
aerial.
a man. There's not a man. There's a child. This child is real fucked up. He's got a bunch of wires in his head. And he's tripping balls all the time. And then you got the lizard man that he meets. But that's not quite yet because you have the AB party scene establishing both the success of the experiment, the people's excitement for it, and then also establishing obviously the torturous circumstances, a series of unfortunate events that befalls our young ne'er-do-well, and then you have like what would be the next scene? So like you have the party, and you have him, and then you would just continue down his growth. So I guess you have him growing up. How do we want to do that? Do we want to start him off as a wee? We want to start him off as an infant, and then instantly have him be like, "Yep, this infant's ready to go, blast into the multiverse." Or do we want to make it more like
he's been drip fed like
I think
kindergarten multiverses and stuff.
I know. I think definitely it's gonna be that he starts as an adult. Like in other words, they literally bring him out as an adult. They clone.
Well, honestly, I feel like depending on how weird we wanted to get, like I bet you could just not show them the complex universes. I bet there are universes where it's just like green triangles.
Yes,
floating
yes,
around, and you
yes,
just,
yes,
like,
yes.
show them.
And we need to go over those as like in other words, like those are gonna be the most likely ones to encounter. I think I don't think we're the likeliest universe by any shot, right? So it's like if you're experiencing the multiverse, I think you're going to experience a lot of like what it feels like to be a bacteria,
Yeah.
right? And what it feels like to be a bacteria is going to be like what you described,
And
like
perhaps his experience grows along with his growth, so it gets us complex.
I don't know, not that at all. No, I think it's completely and totally random, and you're just experiencing.
I feel like it would take more energy in the system for it to go to completely random places in the multiverse, rather than have like a consistent stream.
No, because to have a consistent stream of what you're saying, building complexity. What you're saying, you need to build a machine which is somehow matching the multiverse to the capabilities of your brain. It's insane.
No, it's just that literally your brain is not capable of holding this amount of data, so we're only going to show you this amount of data.
But they don't have all the data. They don't simulate the entire universe at once. They're simulating pieces of it. So they're going over the map.
So wouldn't the computer say, for this brain, it cannot handle this, we're only going to show it what it can handle, and what that happens to be at this moment in time is a simplified universe.
Well, first of all, the computer does not have a library. The computer has the current moment
so it
stream.
says I have to create something right now. What's the simplest thing?
No, the computer does not create anything. The computer is doing the equivalent of live streaming.
Okay, so why would it be harder for it Why would it not be harder for it to want to create the simpler thing for this?
Because it has no choice or will. The computer is not deciding anything. That would take multiple layers of complexity on top of what is actually happening, which is you put in this equation, and the equation is going to give you bare reality. Like a literal live stream link to reality. You're going to get, and we need to
So what about, so is there ever a point in this timeline where they figure out a better equation where you can choose when you want the point?
No, that would be about building a machine that could simulate the entire multiverse at the same time, which is way too powerful for the people we're dealing with.
Or at the very least, the ability to
That'd be
choose
in
what
the
you want
game.
beforehand, not like, don't make
Trevor,
a
you
random
understand that
point.
if you have an ability to choose a point in the multiverse, then you skip over all the problems we had, right? All the problems the society's going to deal with encountering the multiverse. If they can just pick the best ones, then it kind of defeats the whole thing. If you're powerful enough to choose points in the multiverse, what is the point in learning anything religiously? You can just jump to the best points in the multiverse and then replay them over and over and over again. There's no point in learning anything. Those people are so powerful, they're beyond anything meaningful.
Yeah.
You can't skip around. It's too much. I mean, maybe we'll even make people like that later, and then discuss the pitfalls and benefits of being able to do that. But that's not this story.
Mm-hmm.
But so what were we talking before that?
So, yeah, what age does he begin seeing the stuff? So it could be, I don't know, when would the government determine the right age for that?
Yeah, I think definitely they start him as an adult. So like he does not know.
I think it'd be
anything.
like a better story if he was doing it at least since he was a kid.
But I think basically what you're gonna do that, but it's gonna be like he's gonna be a kid in the typical sense of the word kid, but he's in an adult body, right? Like in other words, like he's going to start out with no memories or anything, but he's going to look like an adult, and he's going to at least have an adult brain. So he's not going to be like, he's not going to feel like a toddler, unless the other direction is if we can make it like an Evangelion thing, where it's like they think a child would work better, or they need.
And also they were trying to experiment what would be the path of a human.
That's not
naturally
no,
growing
that's not the
up
experiment.
alongside
That's
it.
not the experiment. The experiment is just that we need to test this equation. It's not what are the psychological effects of this on a human being. That's going to be much further down the line. This is not. That would not be the reason. This is not.
I feel like they would say, all right, for this to work, we will have to start from just like day one. We can't start with any other multiversal experience, whether it's on this planet.
Well,
or
you
whatever.
wouldn't need other multiversal experience. You could just be an adult with an adult brain. It's different than having any memories or experiences. That's what I mean. Like we'd still write a childhood about him being a child. But if he's going to be a child,
if you're going to
then
do that, you could just say, or they could just modify a suit that can grow into it. I mean, that's just that would be
modify a suit that can grow into. What does that mean at all?
instead of creating a robot meat suit, you can have a robot meat suit that is a biological synthetic.
What does this mean?
Humanoid that can grow, can be a baby,
What?
and then eventually grow into it.
Yeah, they could. What does this mean? What
So
about
why
it?
not just do that?
What we know that's the whole thing we were talking about in the
You
first
just
place.
said it would be a child in an adult body, but you could have a child in a child body that grows up into be an
Yeah,
adult.
that was the first idea. Yes, that was the thing that we initially scrapped. Yes, what you just brought it up in a different language.
No,
Yeah.
now I'm saying, he's still a robot. He's still a synthetic. I'm just saying it's a synthetic life form bodysuit that he has that
What
can
does
grow.
that mean? You're just saying he has a body.
Yeah, that can age.
Yeah, that was the first idea. Yeah,
Yeah, so why not that?
because then you need a reason that they do that. You need a reason why they're going to make a baby the first thing to experience the multiverse. Yeah, this thing with a formulated brain that can't speak to us or tell us its experiences, we're just gonna jack it in. We're just
They
gonna.
probably want something as close to the human form as possible.
Yeah, that can be an adult, dummy.
Yeah, but they would probably want that to grow, to be that point and somehow, not just start
No,
from day
why
one.
would they want that? They want it to grow. You're not saying anything. Why would they want it to grow?
I
They
mean,
wouldn't
just,
want
like I don't see why you would if you wanted something as close to the human form as possible.
You
would.
don't. You want to understand the equation.
I'm sure. I just find it as like a less interesting detail. They just create a.
I'm fine with going with this route. Your reasons are not good. You need to write in a reason, like Evangelion did, where it's like the pilots are teenagers.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying.
That's not what you said at all.
Hypothetically,
That's what I was
they
saying we should
want.
maybe do.
They want the ability to be as close as to a human form as possible that grows into it.
That's not. You're still not saying anything at all.
whatever you're saying is the Evangelion. If they're saying something by needing kids,
What I'm saying is that you need a scientific reason, and that you need to come up with that to justify why we're doing this. You need to come up with a reason that is like, and I mean, I can start thinking about them.
I would say simply, if you're going to create a metaphysical conduit to handle infinities, what you would
This
want...
is not a reason in the story. You need to write a reason in the story.
I'm saying if you're creating a story where you're creating a
You're going meta.
If you're creating a metaphysical conduit...
What is the reason in the story?
If you're creating a...
What is the reason in the story?
If in the story, if you're creating a metaphysical...
What is the reason in the story? Just
Are you
skip to
going to
that.
say that? No, I'm literally saying at the beginning of the sentence, if you're creating a metaphysical conduit, which is a host to simulate the entirety of the infinities, I imagine you would want it to be as organic and a natural
You're saying nothing.
No, that is literally a scientifically accurate process.
That's what you're gonna write in the story. If you're trying to simulate, you want something that is as violent. That's not a reason.
Yes, if you're creating a host for infinity, you want it to be as natural.
You want it to be. That's the reason you're gonna write. You
as
want it
in,
to be.
that would be the best thing to host it. As for
It would be the best thing to host it.
As a, are you going to at least?
You're not saying anything.
Do you not understand the context of what I'm saying?
I do understand the context. You're like saying like literally like like I'm saying you need to make it specified, and you're like, oh, here's the vaguest, most useless, meaningless thing that we can't write in the book ever. I'm saying no, if we're gonna do this idea, you need the specified version, and you're going, well, here's the outline generally. And I'm like, well, no, we already have the outline generally.
Honestly, say the metaphysics of this are literally anything. They could create a worm form for all they need to do it, but we could just say, well, maybe they can't do that. They need a human form. So in the same sense, we could say.
Well, that's not what we're gonna say in the story, because that would be stupid and foolish to say that to the audience. And the audience would be like, I'm gonna stop reading this book immediately.
No, because the part of this is obviously that he's a living being that has emotions, so that has to be involved in the story somehow. They could have just turned that off, but we're still dealing with that. So it's
nothing to do with this. Yeah.
So there is some reason they need him to be at some qualities, and perhaps those qualities are human-like.
That's what you're gonna write in the book. That's what you're gonna write in the book. He needs some qualities, and we want this quality.
Perhaps you need to be the most intelligent.
Perhaps you need to be. Is that the reason you write in the book? Perhaps you need to be
most.
Perhaps you need to be. You need to write in the book what the reason is. In Evangelion.
Obviously, what I'm saying is that is the reason. I'm not saying
the
perhaps.
tone is so argumentative. Listen to each other.
What I'm saying is that is the reason.
You're still giving me vagueness.
I'm not saying perhaps. Okay, I'm saying that is the reason. The reason is they say.
You didn't give me a reason. You said because they're biological, that may be better. That's what you said to me just now.
As in, they figured out. All right, if we're going to create a host for this simulation, we need it to be as biological as possible, and we need it to be as natural, and we need to find what is the most intelligent thinking species that we can find right now. It's us. Let's build it like us. That's our computer. We want
you can do that as human. That's just, you're saying nothing. That's not the reason you're gonna write in the book. You're not saying the reason. I'm just let me think for a second. I'll come up with like a reason you'd put in the book. Like this one. It's so simple. The brain, a young brain, is more accessible to the computer, to the equation. The way a young brain's formed, the way the default mode network is already half shut down, coincides with the way the simulation works. So because the young people are already basically tripping, they're more capable of like seeing the visions, like dreams, right? Because like sort of like more vivid dreams, right? Because their brain's more permeable. It's the same thing with the simulation. The brain's more permeable to simulation because they have less going on, because they have a child's brain, and that's why they don't want to simulate a child. That's like a reason you'd write in a story. A reason you write a story is not like because they're biological and that could be better perhaps. That's not a reason you'd write in a story. That's what I kept trying to say.
That is the general overview of it.
I don't want. That's what I kept saying to you is stop giving me the general overview. Give me something specific, and you just repeatedly give me the general overview.
What you just said was included in that. That was a more specified version.
Well, then you should have said that out loud.
I was just trying to give the clarification.
You shouldn't have.
You were just saying I was just saying that idea as a basis, and you should have said yes, but we should add more detail to that. You should.
I literally said the words. You need to make it more specific. You're giving me the vague version. I said that out loud to you.
It sounded like you were saying just to scrap the idea because of that.
I said verbatim. I said the words. I'm not saying we scrap the idea. I'm fine with them being young. You need to give me a specific reason. That was literally on record what I said. But I do agree with you.
Yeah, but when I said that, all of your ideas were incorporated in mine. It's just like, I guess.
Then you should have said them out loud. That was literally what I was specifically saying. Is you need to say any one of those out loud. Like what I was basically saying is that I literally brought up the vague outline. I get the vague outline. The vague outline was conceived of me in the first moment we started talking about it. I don't need the vague outline. I need a specific reason for us to be able to move on to this point.
Oh yeah.
Indeed, we do. I don't even think that was great. We literally just jacked Evangelion one basically.
Evangelion, do they even give a reason?
No, but you know how they work. They don't give a reason for anything. You just try to get it. And with the Evangelion, it's weirder too because they do say it. It's just in the PlayStation 2 video game from 1987. You have to watch a video documentary on it. But yeah, the brainwave one. It's at least a placeholder, I suppose. But okay. Then this is what I was saying before. If you're going to make it where there's an advantage to them being a child, then you need to make them a child permanently. Because the advantage is not going to go away.
What if you eventually want it to grow up? What if you eventually want it to be able
but,
to...
Trevor, then, like I'm saying, then the reason can't be what if because you want it to be. Then you need a specific reason of why you want it to grow up. And your reason that you're about to say is because you want it to be like a human. That's not what they're doing. They're not running an experiment on what the effects are like of the equation of a human. That would be farther down the line, or an experiment running at the same time simultaneously. This experiment...
That should be the first experiment.
No, the first experiment would be how do we get this to work for us? What is this?
that would
How do
be
we
our-
walk across the dimensional barrier? How do we become immortal? How do we get technology? How do we get resources? How do we recoup the money?
This works. Now it's like...
Then we're not at that point.
What do you mean?
I mean, we're not 20 years in. We haven't run the first experiment. This guy is the first experiment.
So let's say it starts at age 13, and now he's 20. He's been doing it for 7 years or whatever. At that point, there would be research known about it, and they would see the effects of it over a human over a long period of time, which they would want to know for themselves before they do it. They want to see what does it do to another human? What is it like from child to
They
adult?
don't want to see that first.
Why would
That's
they-
not what the government wants to see.
The first thing they would
The
want to see is
people who
obviously
gave him
footage
trillions of
another
dollars
monster.
are not saying, hey, let's see what the baby thinks about it.
Well, the first thing they would want to know is what the footage of the simulation is. Sure, they say that. And then they say, what will it do to us? What does it do to this dude over the course of his entire life?
That's not what the government's going to want to see first. They're going to want to understand how they can recuperate money. They're not going to be thinking about the psychedelic effects of the multiverse on the baby brain and how it grows up. Nor would that be even what the scientists' first thing they want to see is. That's like just unethical. Like you're talking about running an experiment on a baby just because you want to see what the baby thinks about
I
it.
don't think they're thinking ethics here when they're creating it.
I think that they absolutely are thinking ethics. Of course they are. Like they're disregarding them a little
Forcing
bit.
a person to watch this. What do you mean ethics?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's an unethical experiment. There have been unethical experiments where people still bring ethics into question. And just because you're forcing a person to experience it does not mean that you're forcing a baby to experience it. And those are two completely different categories of unethical. Like, you need a
We're talking
reason.
about literally being forced to watch Hell's Beyond Comprehension.
Yes, you are. We talked about that. I mean, you can read the experiments from 731 in the Holocaust camp. We've done horrible experiments before that are very torturous. But there are still people that you need to respect. There are still people who are letting you run those experiments. And in this case, those people are an advanced government that are responding to a humanitarian
I don't think those
population.
care.
Huh?
But they're not.
They
they're-
do
they're-
care.
There's no population. If it's a secret program, who's holding them
They're-
accountable?
It's obviously, they don't think it's going to stay secret forever. This is the whole point. This is the culmination of the equation. They're keeping it secret for now because they don't want other people to get their hands on it yet, for obvious reasons, as we see later in the story, because it literally destroys civilization. But that doesn't mean that they're, like, that doesn't discount what I was saying at all.
What about the ethics? How do they practically use it?
I'm saying that the ethics are still taken into consideration. That's why they treat the man nicely. So if you clone a man with full brain capacity and there are levels of morality above this one. They could have asked a regular person for consent. That would be more ethical than the version that they're doing now. Yes. But that doesn't mean that they've completely disregarded ethics just because they're going one layer below that.
Alright, so what about the ethics?
What
Where
about
did
the
this
ethics?
Where did this idea come from?
Well, I don't know what that means at all.
Where did this conversation start out from?
You were talking about making it a baby, and what I'm saying is that you need a reason to make it a baby. You need a reason to make it up. If the reason that it is a child is because of the brain formation, then it needs to stay a child. Because there's no point in them cloning a thing that will grow up. And if you're going to make it grow up, then you need a reason to make it grow up. And your reason can't be because they want to see what it's like on a human. That's not a good reason at all.
But when they know everyone in this society is about to eventually watch this,
They don't know that yet.
why would
He's
they?
the first experiment.
They
They're
can't-
not thinking about psychedelic eventualities
They
and
are
how pretty
thinking,
it is
we
for
just
baby
created
to
a
experience
simulation
it.
of the infinity. What are its effects on society? That's the first question they would think of.
Well, the first question I can think of is how do we recuperate money?
Yeah, so its effects on society and
No,
how to profit
no,
off of the effects of
no.
society. Yeah, its effects on society. How to
No.
profit off of that. That's
No, is that why the first thing we did whenever we discovered acid was we were like, oh, let's run science on how on how we can see how happy this makes people. Let's see how a baby experiences, and let's see how happy we make society. No, that's not what anyone thinks about. It's not what the scientists, it's not what the government, it's not what anyone in charge of the science program is going to be thinking about. They're going to be thinking about money and dimensional
That's what
travel.
I just said, obviously. The effects
not
on
at all what you
society,
said.
not the positive or negative
The
effects.
effects on society.
That means literally the physical and scientific effects on society, how to profit off of that.
So
the
you
effects.
wouldn't do that on a baby.
So, no. Because that's the first question you ask after doing
No,
it.
it's not. The first question you asked is how you can make money. How can I turn this into a weapon? How can I get my people across? How can I make myself immortal? You're not. You're not saying the same thing at all.
Yes, the effects on society and how to
No,
capitalize off of
that
that.
has nothing to do with
Because
doing it
will
on a baby.
affect society. It will affect society.
So that's why you run on a baby? That doesn't answer my question at
They
all.
know it will affect society.
That doesn't answer the question. It obviously is going to affect society. It means nothing.
So, okay, so then why are you disagreeing with that concept? That means
I don't disagree with the concept. It's going to affect society, obviously. That
Yeah.
is clearly,
And all I was saying
clearly
is that they're
considered.
trying to profit off of that. I was agreeing with you, and you were
But there's
disagreeing
you
with my
wouldn't.
wording of it.
No, I obviously agree with that. That's why I said it over and over again. Clearly, I didn't disagree with that part. I don't know what made you think I disagree with the part where they're seeking monetary gain. None of the words even remotely
So I'm
resembling
trying to
that
say
came
it
out.
affects society and how to profit off of it. And you were saying
The
that,
way to do that is not to make him a baby.
well, again, that's obviously not the first point they do because they know they can't.
He is the first point.
Because they obviously can't distribute it to all of society first because they have to see what it would be
So
like.
then they do it on a baby? You're still not answering my question. Why is he baby?
Again, I mean, it could be the
It could be-
child,
it could be
the
one for
child
reason.
brain thing. I mean, like the
No, it can't. Because if it's a child brain thing, they keep him a child. That's what I said.
and then if they want to know, not
They
only,
don't want
not,
to know.
Oh, okay,
This is
that's your idea. I'm
Trevor,
saying
the
I-
reason in the book can't be, oh, they're curious. They're curious George. They're real curious
yeah,
fellers.
They want to know what will this do to our galaxy? What will it do to our populace?
So they run a baby? That doesn't answer the question.
Yeah, they run on a baby to see what it would be like
So on the
birth
galaxy?
to death from the entire. They want to know what it would be like alive on a life form. What is it like to be a human and watch the simulation? They want to know that.
And you think if they were
Because
going to
these
do
are
this, they wouldn't just do that on a separate one? Like, if anything, that should just be experiment 2.
Yeah, it's the continuation of one experiment. It's like
No,
now we know what it's
no,
like as a
you
child.
would have 2
Then we'll
clone.
see what it's like
If
as
you want to see what it's like on a baby, what? Then your first priority is speed, obviously. So you do it on an adult who's capable of conceiving and converting those experiences into language, obviously. First of all, that would be the first thing you do if you wanted to recuperate anything, for time's
not
sake.
specifically if you want to know the effects of it over the course of an entire.
Why wouldn't you do both? And why would you not prioritize the
You
full-grown
definitely
man
could do
for
both.
time?
That goes back to our original idea of there being multiple people part of this program.
One of them needs to be the main character. Which one is that going to be? Is that going to be the baby? Because if so,
The
he's
one
coming
that's
after
been
the
part
man.
of the program the longest, yes, the adult who's been at it since child, that would be the main character.
No, it would not be the main character. He wouldn't have been at it the longest. They would have been at an equal amount of time because the government would have started on 2 people at the exact same time. They would have started on a baby to apparently see what it's like for the baby to experience it because that's the government's main priority. And then simultaneously, they would have done the actual logical, rational thing, which is clone an adult who can speak about his experiences in the next year.
Yeah, but okay, assuming that cloning an adult gives you the same scientific data of knowing of someone has been experiencing this throughout their entire life, those are 2 completely.
So why wouldn't they do both? Answer that question, which is the one I've asked for 3 times
They
now.
could do both. They could do
So
both.
why wouldn't they do both? And if they did both, what would be the point of the baby? Because the adult would have already discovered everything and done all of
That's
these
a
things first. So how would we make the baby the main character if the adult's already been there, done that, every single part of it?
Assuming that we can say in the story, yes, if you create a clone of a human and they watch this simulation, it is the exact same as watching 20 years worth of the simulation previously. If we say that those are the exact same thing, even though that doesn't make sense because one person's objectively watched more simulation than the other, so that means they're different people who have different experiences.
How does one objectively watch more simulation than the other?
If one person has watched this simulation for a certain amount of time,
Why would one
and-
watch it for longer?
Are you running through the entirety of the simulation all at once? Because that's not true. It has to be points of the simulation at different points in time.
Why would one be watching it for longer?
Because one would be born on one day, and one would have been doing this for at least a decade or so.
Why would that be? Why would they clone the adult 10 years after the experiment? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, because for that person to have as much experience as the baby would, they would have to go through it in the same amount of time. And again, if you're trying to see the effects.
So
of
why wouldn't it be born at the same second as the baby? Why would the government birth a baby and then an adult 10 years later?
So let's say.
Why would they do that?
Let's say they do that. You would still.
Why would they do that? Not let's say they do that. Why would they do that?
So you have two people. You have A and B. You have A.
Why would they clone one 10 years later?
I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying they don't do that. I'm saying they do it on the same day.
Okay.
So now you have someone who can tell you about all the effects that they see firsthand, and then you can see what is it like to grow up alongside the simulation over the course of, let's say, 10 to 20 years, versus what is it like to be an adult who views it for the first time.
I'm not saying they wouldn't do both. I agree with that. But then how would the baby be the main character? He wouldn't. Everything would already be done by the time he's capable of speaking.
No, because then again, you're assuming that you can gain the same amount of data on
What are you talking about? That question does not answer what I'm saying.
What is your question?
I'm saying, how would the baby not be useless because the adult would have already accomplished everything by the time he can speak? And you say, what the data?
Accomplished, but if you're trying to understand what are the effects of it over the course of
No,
life,
you didn't answer my question. Doesn't answer my question.
that's why you would want to know.
Nope, it's not why you. I didn't ask why you want to know. Was that my question? It wasn't my question. My answer was, why wouldn't the adult be the main character because he would have accomplished everything by the time the baby can speak? Answer that question.
Because the goal is not accomplished of the.
The thing's already released in society. The book's already happened. The third and second character have already been experienced.
This robot clone is the one to do that. Maybe the robot clone has no interest in doing that because perhaps being born at 20
He's
years
no
old,
interest in doing it.
easily. I mean, yes, if it wasn't programmed to have a free will or something, if it wasn't programmed to do anything, it just had no emotions whatsoever, then maybe.
Who said that they would do that? Why wouldn't they do
I'm saying
every single possible combination? Why would they? Let's say the government clones 100 people. What makes you think the baby's going to be the one that becomes the main character? He doesn't in any of them because he has to grow up, which is not what the government wants and is not how the book is going to play out. And I'm saying, you need a reason. If you're going to do this, you need a reason. It can't be the brain one, because if it's the brain one, it's going to be kept a child. Trevor, that can't be the reason, because then the baby will be useless, because the adult will have already accomplished the whole book.
The adult does not know what it's like to be 13 years old.
It doesn't need to know that.
Well, if that's the...
And he has experienced it because he's experienced the multiverse, so he does know what it's like to be 13.
But, okay, but then...
So there's no difference between a baby and an adult, because he's already experienced being a baby in the multiverse.
No, but not the...
No, everything you're going to say is already factored for. The adult has got a decade head start on a child and being able to comprehend and communicate its ideas. It will obviously have already experienced the lizard. It will obviously have already released the code.
One day? How is that?
No, before the baby can speak.
How do you know?
Because of course it would. Trevor, you're
our
acting
idea
like,
was that
yeah. What if the government makes one human baby and then one robot that's retarded and can't feel or think or experience and does nothing? What if that's the case? Well, obviously that wouldn't be the case.
The original idea was that it took him a long time to find the lizard. So why would this guy immediately find the lizard in a few years?
I'm not saying he would immediately find it. I'm saying that before the baby could speak, he would have already released the code and done the plot points of the book.
Assuming it does. I mean, why does this? Again, you're
assuming you're on any linear track, and the book.
This person has the same idea that he wants to release the simulation outwards. Like if that's the character, sure, but we could just say that character does not have that desire. I mean, that's just how we, as the writers, we can say this character does or does not do this thing. So I mean, yes, he could be the one that does.
Here's the biggest issue with what you're saying. If you do one adult, then you can do one character, which is still iffy realistically. Why would the government do one character? The only reason I could see there is because they would want. Like control. They don't want multiple because they don't want multiple people to escape, multiple people to know. They want to keep it secret. But if you do an adult, you can keep it as one person. If you do a baby, there's no reason why the government would not just take the same baby you're talking about and then grow it up to an adult in the lab in 1 year and then make that the host before the simulation is even done. There's no reason. It doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna do a baby, then you have to do like 100 different versions of it. You just have to. There's no reason the government would be like, yep, we're chucking a baby in first because we want to see, and we're not doing anything else, and we're not going to do an adult who can speak, and we're not going to see all of the variations of it. It doesn't make any sense at all. Or maybe you could do expense, but even that one's iffy. I guess that you could do that one. Initially they only make one piece of technology that costs like billions of dollars, and they can only inject it into one brain.
Yeah.
But it becomes so much more complicated if you make them a baby. And yet you keep circling back to the reason in your head being because they want to see. And it's just such a dog shit reason for a book. Like, it needs to be something more
If the reader says, oh, they're going to eventually release this on all of society, so they obviously want to know what its effect on a human would be, that makes sense.
That wouldn't be the first thing they'd do in any dimension, in any logical, rational people. That would never be the first thing they would do is not see, oh, I want to see what it does about a baby because I want to see what that is.
No, because that's not the first thing they would see, because that would be the last thing they see, because that would be the whole end of the experiment. Before that,
it's the end of the experiment, so they've already done it on like 100 different other people, and then it just works on this one?
No,
I mean, you can do that, but then you need to write a reason why for that too.
Experiments on what it is like to watch the simulation.
So in this reality with the baby, there's clearly going to be an adult who's already seen everything 10 years before the baby can speak. So in your situation, why did he not just do the things? Why did one of the other people that isn't a baby, you're going to write it, and so you're going to, obviously, you're clearly going to have to write in a reason now why being a baby is superior. Are you going to do that, or are you just going to say, well, being a baby spirit is my being experience?
I mean, yeah,
it's cool.
Narratively, yes, it's a better and more interesting main character.
You need a reason.
That also, I just
you
think...
need a reason.
I still think that if you're running an experiment on what the effects are on a human life, you would want it to be a baby. You would not want
Stop. Don't ever give me that reason again. Because they're curious.
No, not because they're curious. Because they know, as a scientist, that's obviously what they're going to do.
If I read a book and they gave me that reason, I would close the book.
Why would they be scientifically illiterate and not want to know the effects it would be on society when that's their plan?
I'm not saying they wouldn't want to know. I'm saying why in the sweet baby Jesus would that be what they're prioritizing? It wouldn't be, ever.
That's not... They're doing multiple things at once. They're having one child that can look at the infinity.
So you're saying there are hundreds of people. Then why would the baby... I've asked this question already. Why would the baby be the one who sees it?
Sees what?
The important parts. Why would he be the main character?
I mean, he could be the one that at least stabilizes himself. And
why would he be the main character? He would have to be the main character. If we're talking about him at all, if he's not the main character, then I don't care. There's going to be a baby. He's going to be the main character, clearly is what you're saying. If he's going to be the main character, why is he going to be the main character? Why is the baby more successful than any of the other variants? Do you have a reason? If not, please come up with a reason.
Well,
and do not make it because they're curious.
He's figured out how to stabilize what it's like to watch the infinities, so that would make him better than the other ones if they can't.
Stabilize what it's like to watch the infinities, that means nothing.
If the other ones are literally mentally unstable, and he's the only one that
why?
figures a way
So
out.
what? You have to be a baby to not be mentally unstable and watch the multiverse? Why?
I mean,
Because he's a baby and they're curious. It's not a good reason.
It's something to do with the evolving machinery. Like this biological machinery that you're creating has to grow and evolve, and it cannot just start at one day and be.
It's not good at all. And we can even come back to this, and I bet there's a reason you could come up with, and you can make this idea function, but you cannot. It can't be the reasons that you've given so far. I mean, we'll need to give this actual thought.
It's like you're just saying like this hypothetically scientific concept that they can just create new beings, like. But why are they able to create such a successfully new being? Like, is that guaranteed?
It's more guaranteed than creating a baby and you having no reason why it would be a baby and that working. I tell you what, it's a lot more guaranteed than that.
But what do you mean not working? Why would it not work?
But I didn't say it wouldn't work. The baby could work just fine on my concept. It's just why would the baby work better? Why is the baby the one to do it? It doesn't make any sense. And if it's going to make sense, you need a reason. It can't just be because he's a baby in the chair. Nope.
Want the best computer possible.
Nope. You do every version. Why is that one successful?
Why is it the most successful? Because I'm saying you would want.
Because it's a baby? Is that your reason? Because it's a baby and they're curious?
Because first of all, as a narrative, yes, I think that is more interesting.
As a narrative, you think because it's a baby and they're more curious is a more interesting narrative? Because I'm telling you, I'd close the book. And I would.
What do you mean curious? That's like that's ridiculous. Like they're curious.
Obviously, they're curious. They would like to see it as a baby. They would like to see it as a dog. They would like to see it as a cat. That doesn't mean the first thing they would do.
They don't want to see it as a baby. They want to see it grow up. Obviously, that's the whole point. Not just they want to see what it looks like as a baby.
Obviously, that's what I'm saying. They would want to see it what it's like as a cat. They would want to see what it's like as a dog. They want to see what it's like as a crocodile. They would want to see it can make a bacteria experience infinity. That wouldn't be the first goal.
What is like? What if I?
Are they a baby?
They want to know what is it like as a human, the human being.
So then they would do an adult human being, right? Because that's what they are.
I mean, then you get to the unethical side of it, like they would have to force someone to do it.
Yeah, it's significantly more unethical to do a baby.
Not
yes.
They could hide it by saying
no,
created the
no. To them, it's more unethical. The scientists aren't stupid.
Yeah. I just think to me is a more interesting story if you have.
That's fine. That's fine, and I'm perfectly okay with us going this direction. We have to, instead of you coming up with excuses to say it's a baby and they're curious, we have to sit here and actually think about what the scientific reason we're going, like the practical reason in the story of why it being a baby actually works better. Like that's what we need to come up with. It can't just be because it's a baby, and being a baby makes it work better. That's not a reason. That's not a good book.
I mean, if I was reading a sci-fi story that like the best possible computer involves recreating the human form.
Nothing to do with the baby question, by the way.
Yes,
nothing to do with the computer.
If you're trying to create a perfect computer that can host
Nope,
infinity,
that is not why a baby would be more
look
successful.
like a human.
That would look like a human? Does that answer why a baby would be more successful?
Look and act and form and function.
Is that
like
why
a
a baby
human.
would be more successful?
Yes, because that baby would be born from day 0 and grow up to be.
Is that why a baby would be more successful? Because it's born from day 0?
Yes, because that's what a natural biological being would be, and I'm saying.
Oh, and that has something to do with the multiverse. So experiencing the multiverse is contingent on being a baby? What does that mean?
Being on a natural being, yes.
Being a natural being?
Yes.
Experiencing the multiverse is contingent on being a natural being? What precedent does that set metaphysically?
Well,
That sounds retarded thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
If we have to look around ourselves and ask what is the best viewing.
It's not a human.
It's the best. It's a way.
It's not even close to the best. It's like
That we
1%.
see so far.
It's the first thing nature could possibly come up with. We're a turd.
Yeah, okay, but we can look around us so far and say, if we're trying to replicate this and to be able to witness infinity,
Why does the baby work better? You haven't answered my question one time.
the fact that it can function and form and grow to be the most like us.
And you couldn't do that in like, oh, the most like us? You think metaphysics depends on being like us?
No, obviously you would want like an alien brain, but they don't have alien
Oh, so
brains
there would
around.
be things more efficient than us. So you're saying that the government could model something perhaps more efficient than a human baby? You're saying that perhaps we need a reason why we're using a human baby? You're saying perhaps that we need a practical reason beyond it just being a baby. And a baby working better because it's
you would
like
want it to
us?
be- you would want it to be a human that can grow.
Why do you want that? You just keep saying you want it, you want it, you want it. Why? What is the reason? Come up with a reason.
I'm saying that in the same way we can say that naturally the child brain connects to it easier, you can say that to connect to watching infinities and stabilizing it the best
Is because so understanding metaphysics, this is what you're saying, and we're gonna keep looping on this because you've looped on this 90 times now. You won't own this position. What you're saying is that you can understand metaphysics better if you experience it as a baby first. What is the reason for that? You can't just drop that and leave. You can't just say that a baby understands metaphysics better
Right now,
because it
I
experiences it
don't
as
know
a
of
baby.
any being that can simply spawn into existence at day 100. That does not exist, and I don't know if that would be more
You
efficient.
can't
Because
imagine
have
that.
No ability
You
to
can
know.
imagine an advanced civilization making a person, growing a person in the lab with an adult body. You can imagine that. Is that exceed your brain power?
But that-
Doesn't
that-
exceed mine.
But that would be a baby. It would be in a baby state. And it would
No,
have
it
to
wouldn't.
understand simple things at first.
No, it would not. You can grow an adult human body. You can grow something with an adult human brain that can communicate. There's the facility to use language. And it can also be a blank slate of experience. So if your excuse is that what you need to understand metaphysics is to be a blank slate, which I don't even buy and is weird and gay metaphysically, then let's say we do go with that reason. Then why can't you just use an adult clone with no memories? Like, you're not answering the reason.
You could. Again, you could do anything. You could put a clone on the moon. They could make a moon witnesses for all we care. But we're putting it on a human for the narrative purpose of it. So for the narrative purpose of it, I would...
The narrative purpose. Don't ever fucking use narrative
Yeah,
purpose
we're
to me as a
probably creating a
reason.
story.
Don't ever use narrative purpose to me as a reason. You need a reason in the story to back up your narrative purpose. If your reason is just narrative purpose, throw it in the fucking garbage can. That's what makes bad books. When you're reading it and you can feel and you can see and you can taste the narrative purpose. Terrible shit.
What are you suggesting?
I'm saying that. Well, I'm just saying we can do anything. You need a reason. I'm saying I can come up with the reasons why you would spawn him as an adult. That seems like the most logical one. I can come up with a reason why you would keep him as a teenager even. Because the shape of the brain is like the halfway point between kid and being able to use language. So you keep them forever as a teenager, like an Evangelion if they were clones. I can see that making sense. Those are the two I would go for off the jump. I don't really care. To me, the guy can be any age, can be any variation of ages. You need a reason though. You need a reason that isn't because of the narrative. And like I said, we
It
didn't even come back to
depends
the
on the level of technology. It's like, I guess, like...
We can do any level of technology you want.
Yeah, I guess it just depends, like higher level
So
technology.
pick one and pick a reason for the love of
To
God.
me, if we were going, like, again, going off of scientific realism plus narrative interest...
Don't.
No, I will, because I would...
No, don't.
I
Don't.
want
I
the
don't
more
care. I don't
want
care.
the more
I'll actively
interesting
write it out of you. If you ever come to me
If
and
you
you
want the
write
more
something
boring story, then sure, it's like... but I
No,
want
the more
interesting
boring story is whenever you read it and you can feel that it's written. Disgusting.
But versus, like, something too, like, boring. If it's
No.
boring versus interesting.
The boring is not going to be our problem with the story. If you want to fix boring, you're going to make the lizard person story more interesting. You don't need to ruin a sensible cohesion of a story just to make it slightly more entertaining because it's a baby. It doesn't make it retarded. Don't use narrative anything as a reason. Don't. Stop. Don't. Use a actual
It's just
plot
like when we
reason.
say he was born on this day and then he watched all of it at once. It's like, sure, but it's like this is a person that is genetically modified and had to have been bred in the lab for years and years. I just find that to be a more interesting character that I want to watch a story.
So then
based
come
on.
up with a reason to why that would be in the
So
story.
that technological state, I would say you could not create as successful of a being. But
Why?
For this
Why?
biological synthetic
Why?
organism to
Skip to why.
for it to exist, you would have to have it grow into that shape, and that would take
Why?
time. Because you would not be able to do it yourself. Because it would be what is it? Abiogenesis. They're creating life form out of nothing. They're trying to create biology.
Okay, what?
And for that to be the most successful shape, it would take time. It's called evolution. So they would have
Okay.
to help it evolve, and that would, like, perhaps it's accelerated. Perhaps it's not necessarily as long as it is for us, but perhaps at the very least, its formation process takes a biological time, as we do, and that would look like growing up.
Like, you understand that you just said, like, here's a template for a potential reason. You didn't give me anything. You just said, like,
As in literally,
it could be this. It could be better maybe if he grew up. That's like you somehow said that in different words to me every single
I'm
time.
saying, let's say in the story,
In the story,
In the story.
maybe if it grows up, that's good.
in the story, we can say that if they wanted to create a being that was 100 years old and witnessed it one day, that being would be more stunted. It would have less ability to think. It would be a biological. It would not work as right. It would not function as well because it just was evolved in one day out of nothing. Versus it having an entire decades to have grown into that state would be able to speak and interact and watch that infinity more efficiently than the newly created being.
If something is more experienced, it'd be better. That doesn't mean anything. It just doesn't mean anything at all against what I said. It's just like it doesn't disagree or agree. It just means nothing against it. It's like, yes, a being with more experience of the metaphysics would have a better understanding and grasp of the metaphysics. Yeah, but we're talking about when you off the bat. Why would it? You're like the best of the steel man of what you just said was, if it grows up, that's good. Like you didn't. There's no reason.
I just said that the being would be less efficient in watching and communicating.
Less efficient in watching and communicating. So what you're saying is it would be
infinity.
it would be less good if not, right? That's what you said. Like there's not a,
It's like
it's not a scientific reason.
The growth is stunted. The growth is literally.
Like you understand, you're still giving me the outline. You need a reason for why the growth is stunted. Obviously, if we're going to write the baby in, then the other people's growth would need to be stunted, and the baby's growth would need to be improved. Like, you can say any variation of you want. The other people are bad because they start as grown up, and the baby is good because he starts as a baby. But that doesn't answer the question as to why that is the case.
I would have to do research on literally like futuristic technology.
Then we can literally do that right now.
Yeah.
And it's also an issue on this front. Even if you come up with a scientific reason, what are you saying metaphysically? That blank slates are better? Like, are you just like
Not
insulting?
necessarily blank slates, but being mature is a better way to observe your reality.
What?
Growing up, and the more complex you can view it as, is the better way to form it.
So you're saying that you need
And you
growth
need to
to
grow
become the
into
final
it.
state? That just isn't true. Like, you could take independent frameworks within God, and you could have a perfect being that would not need to grow at all. It doesn't mean anything.
Wait, say that again.
Like, you can have a being, like, if there's your ideal of a human, you can just isolate those frameworks. That the thing doesn't need to grow into that thing. The thing can be that thing independently. It can just be that collection of framework. Things do not need to grow into themselves. They do in this state, but you could technologically advance someone into a perfect state. You could take me, and you could take me off ice. But by that same metric, you could say I never existed in the first place, and that you're not taking me off ice, you're not reviving me, that you are literally creating me as the being that I am. And let's say by that point I'm religiously perfect, and I exist in a state of permanent religious ataraxia, and I did that before I died in like the year, 2070, and then they take me off ice. Well, that being that is now me taken, quote-unquote, off the ice, you could say that, like I said, you could say that it never died, that that's just new. That's a new being that they created, that they brought to life. And that new being had no growth. You could even make a version of me that, literally isn't even me being taken off the ice. It's just me being simulated completely that has no growth. It's just me being simulated in that moment in time. Like, that doesn't mean anything metaphysically. That's not true metaphysically. It's not true metaphysically that things must grow.
If you're specifically taking a body that has already had some subconscious psychological experiences and other physical experiences, and then did this is, I guess, a different conversation than perfectly creating a new being from scratch. But I do agree with you.
I didn't answer my question. What does that? It doesn't. But it's not a good principle to set metaphysically.
Is it? I'm not saying.
Everything in the story means something, and you set up something which means something which isn't true.
Well, if you. What are you saying? Which part is not true?
You've set up a paradigm in which it is better to be a blank slate to understand metaphysics. What does that mean? Why? It doesn't mean anything. That's not true.
And which way am I saying you need to be a blank slate?
If you're saying a baby better understands the machine, therefore a baby, a blank slate, better understands.
Not that the baby better understands it, but that the baby, when grown
The
up...
baby's better. The baby's better. I don't care what way you want to say it. The baby's better. Why is the baby better? The baby better means something metaphysically. The story, everything in the story means something.
Isn't that being who's now 20, 30 years old, that is...
Metaphysically.
Why
Metaphysically?
He's had the entire, his entire existence...
Can you cut off all these words and just get
to
to the
evolve
point?
and grow to be stronger to witness that infinity. So you would have to have some support behind that. And to, like, you would have to have, I guess... I mean, if you just say, yeah, the technology is enough, but, like... I'm just saying the two stories is, like, they're both completely scientifically accurate.
It's not about
possible.
the stories and the narratives. It's not never,
And then it's
ever,
about- and then
ever
it's about-
needs to be about that.
That's about that in relation to realism, in relation to what the viewers want to watch, and it's like...
Never
wow.
talk to me about that. It's not what it is about. That's not how you make a good book. It isn't how you make a good book. Whenever you can see, if you're ever reading a book and you see that, then the book is over. It's over. It's done.
No, I mean, so
You
don't
spit
see
on
it.
it and you close it.
I'm not saying when you see it, I'm just saying if I see
They
the
would
choice
see
of-
it because you don't have a reason in the story. If you don't have a reason in the
I
story,
just
then they
gave
see
you-
it.
I'm giving you a scientific reasoning as to why.
What is it? And we're gonna go back to the loop to the point you were talking about before. So you give it to me. What is it? Give me a scientific reason
that's
which you
where
didn't give me, and you didn't give me that, and they also
Because I
you
was
didn't
trying
give me
to
the
research it,
metaphysical
and then
reason.
you were bringing on to another subject.
Yeah, and you didn't give me the metaphysical reason either. Metaphysically, you're setting up a bad principle with a blank slate thing. What do you say about that? You're setting up something which means something. That everything in the story means something. Why is the baby better understanding metaphysics? Not scientifically now, metaphysically. You don't have a scientific or a metaphysical reason why.
Is that I don't know. Like I don't see the proof to me that if we create a being in one day, it would be as good as us at seeing all of the infinities. Like I don't.
We have our brain, Trevor. What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Like, why would it not be just as good? Like, you don't have a reason why not. I don't see the reason in which why it would be this way.
Just
It's like a president.
that being would need experience.
It doesn't. It's understanding multiverses. That's experience. Like, what are you saying? Like, you're saying humans have this independent quality that is good in and of itself. That humans are more capable of understanding metaphysics than a potential machine could be, or that something grown in a lab. Like, you're saying like somehow things grown in a lab are worse. Like, all of this should translate over to the metaphysical
for the
truth.
effect on a human, which again they're going if they're distributing to society and trying to profit off of something. That is their main thing. They don't really care about what the computer thinks about it. That's not where their profit margins lie.
I don't understand what this has anything to do with it.
They
Skip
do
one.
want to know the effects that it has on humans because that's where profit margins lie, obviously. So it's like they don't care as much what the
God
computer has to say
fucking
about it.
damn it, Trevor. What are you talking about? You're literally just saying that you could potentially tie the money thing to the human thing. No, it's not even close to true. Like, I can shoot it down in 400 different angles. You're still not answering the metaphysical question. You're still not answering the scientific question. And those aren't even the ways that I would have shot that idea down.
So how do you not see the relationship between they need to make money, they need to figure
That's
out...
not the way you make money. It's not in any way.
So then how do you... What are you saying? What are they... Does they have no plans on the simulation in relation
In what
to
way would that be the best way to make money? To who? Just to conduct some sociological
to
study.
sell it to people? Yes, obviously.
To sell it to people? Then why wouldn't you do it on an adult, you fucking retard? You still give me no reason.
If you... First of all, you'd want to know if I put this...
Is that what you want to know first? You want to wait 10 years first? You wouldn't do them both at the same time?
You want to know, first of all, if it would collapse all of society, and you would want to know...
So you do it from a baby. The people who've just spent $14 billion, you think the first thing they're going to do is they're going to conduct that on a baby.
I wanna know
and
what
conduct a
this looks like
14-year
over the 40
sociological
I
study
wanna know what
so
this
they can perhaps run the perfect ad campaign?
They would want to know what does it look like over a 20-year period. Does this person kill themselves every time? Like, that would be a good thing to know before you sell this product, yes.
No, that's not what any person who sells a product thinks about. Ever.
They want
The
to know what does it
20-year long
do
run.
to a person. Yes.
No, they want to know how can we get this out quickly.
Yeah, but they're also not a corporation. They're also the government, and they also want to make sure that people don't revolt and kill the government and themselves.
The
Because there'll be no
government-
one to govern.
Well, we were talking about the world collapsing. I do not think the world collapsing. I do think the society should already be collapsing, like we were talking about before, though. And if the society is collapsing and the government has no way how to fix the sociological issues, they're not going to think, I'm going to wait 15 years for this baby to grow up. They're going to think, I'm going to run this on adult human. And also, at this point, they're so technologically advanced. I bet they're... actually, no, they are. If they're fucking running the metaverse, they're regularly cloning people. And if they're regularly cloning people and regularly building pieces of people to the point where you're already running into the Theseus ship argument, you're already able to build full people out of pieces, you're building full cloned people, then what the fuck are we talking about that a baby would somehow be better than a fully cloned person off rip? Like, why? 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 Answer the question, why? In any way, scientifically or metaphysically. Why? And then even if you want to do the money angle, how is an adult not better at making money? If your answer is, well, the long-term sociological effects, then get the fuck out of here with that shit.
It's like
Get the fuck out of
The
here.
adult has not been watching this since they were a baby. They want to know what would it look
No,
like.
no, they don't. Nope, they don't. They don't want to know that. Nope.
Why?
And I started reading you writing books, so they want to know. Nope.
Well, they're
nope.
illiterate because they're about to collapse all of society.
Yep, they sure are. Yep, like they would. Yep.
But they're the government and a giant corporation mixed in one that are trying to make money off of this. So it's like, why are they not? They don't care about.
They're trying to get
long-term
money. They're trying to
profit?
stop society from collapsing.
Okay, so they're not selling this product anymore. Now they're back to the government that is trying to save people.
Well, they're doing
So
both.
they're
And they're not,
trying
they
to
were
save
never going to
people.
sell the product to the people. That was never what I meant by making money. I meant recuperating the billions of dollars the government spent. And that doesn't need to be in money back. It doesn't need to be in selling the product in a capitalist way. That just means that there was trillions of dollars spent, which means the government is thinking, we just spent the last 1,000 years working on this project, and we don't even know what the equation does. Oh my god, we need to try it right now. What does this do? What does these billions of dollars mean? We got an equation. We didn't want an equation. We wanted a laser gun. Right? That's what they're thinking. And then, so what do they do? You think they're going to wait 50 years for the baby to come out? No!
No,
You
they
need a
probably
reason.
have hundreds of thousands of experience going on.
Oh, that's true. Then why does the baby matter in any capacity? Why is the baby better? Answer that question scientifically,
Why-
metaphysically,
why is
or
it better?
monetarily.
And why is it better? Because again, you're trying to.
No. Nope.
Any character at all could be the one that to release this.
Why is it this one?
Well, it could be any of them, so it doesn't have to be this one. I could say it's this one.
You are saying it's this one, so why?
But then now I'm saying, so if it could be any of them, and they're all equally possible, and they're all equally possible in the story,
Yep.
then from that reason I would say, as the main character, that's the better character.
We're never gonna go in a direction just for that reason.
Alright, I mean, then it's like we could just choose other characters that are the main character that have less interesting qualities to them.
No, that's not true. First of all, you're unimaginative to say that there's no more interesting quality than a baby. There are several
I'm
other
just
more
like, as
interesting
to me,
characters.
I would want to know about that character. What is it like to watch the Infinities rise and fall from literal birth to as you're an adult?
No, I would prefer to go with the baby. I'm actually gonna think of a reason instead of saying because the baby's cooler and then trying to write that in a book like an actual monkey brain retard. And still, metaphysically, we need to circle back to that point. Metaphysically, what are you saying? It's not good. I would argue that you're actually correct. Narratively, it would be more interesting to experience the not more interesting. That's not the way to put it, because it isn't more interesting. It's just that you get cool scenes out of it being a baby. You get cool scenes in the book from that. I bet you could get just as cool scenes from him being an adult, which is cloned at that point, and he has a blank slate, so he is experiencing metaphysics blankly. So he's basically a child, and he's experiencing it for the first time, and he's confused, and you can write them just as interesting as if he's a little baby Yoda baby person. Like,
So I know if he's had an entire lifetime, like myself, of dealing with this, then I would find that to me, I guess.
shut the fuck up. No, don't care. Skip it up.
What?
It was annoying just hearing you say it. Go to something else, some other, like, a visceral, actual reason that means anything at all. Other than, like, I
Other
would...
than me
I
as
would,
a writer, I'm more interested
I don't
in one side of the
care.
character than another. Sure. Like,
I don't care. If Ian Banks ever said that, I would not like his books. I wouldn't read them. I wouldn't recommend them to anyone. That's what if I ever looked at an interview and that's what he said to me, I would never read them again. Trash garbage.
But if I heard the author say I'm more interested in ideas that are just objectively not as good, if they match up some version of some hypothetical sci-fi technology, then sure, we can go with that, whatever. But it's like,
I don't understand what you're saying, either, nor do I care.
But, okay, but I'm just saying, like, what if I heard the author say what you're saying? It's like, I don't know if I would care. Like, I would rather go with what's the thing that is the best story and is realistic and matches the best thing with the story, and if it all ties together.
And you're just gonna not address any of the massive holes, like the fact that it doesn't make any sense at all. Like you still haven't answered the metaphysical question at all. What are you saying metaphysically? What are you saying metaphysically?
I'm saying that the best analogy would be is like a person who just woke out of a coma with no memories will have less of a great experience at life than someone who's had
You're
in their
saying nothing
entire
at all
life
right now.
to do that. Yes.
No, you're not. No, you're absolutely saying nothing at all. No. A person who woke up out of a coma. What are you saying at all? It means nothing at all.
A person from a blank state, they would have not as good of an experience with life. They would have less ability to function than someone who's had the ability to had memories.
It's just not true either. Has that literally happened and people function perfectly fine?
They can function better, but not as efficient, I would imagine.
What? You saying?
I'm saying someone who's had an entire lifetime as one stabilized form is a more efficient person to communicate with and
both
learn
of them
from.
have the same lifetime.
What is it?
You have a baby and you have a person. They both have the same amount of lifetime.
Except that person.
So you're saying because one shit in diapers, it's better?
No, one experienced 20 years or so of being a person.
Nope, they both did.
No, because the other person just woke up on one day and
Nope.
started watching Infinities.
Nope, they
He has
both.
no idea what it's like to be a teenager in a penthouse and watching Infinities and having to deal with that after having come home from a long day of watching
You don't
Infinities.
understand that you can still be psychologically a teenager in an adult's body.
Yeah, but then you would have then there would be the course of time.
What do you mean the course of time?
So you have a
You can't clone them at the same
teenager,
time? They're born at the same time.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying the course of a longer period of time.
What are you saying? Skip is a point that means something.
Decades of having experienced
Why? What?
this infinity.
Yeah, what about it? You can make them both the same amount of time.
Sure, I mean,
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Why would you make one experience less? It's not a point against me at all. It's just retarded. You're saying, well, what if I wrote...
If that's the main thing we can argue about, my main point is I want the person to experience the infinities over the course of a long period of time.
The clone guy can experience it over 20 years.
Yeah, I agree they could.
Does that actually fix all of your issues? Because then we can just go with that. I don't think it does, though, right?
I mean, I would be completely
I
fine.
agree with you that a baby can be more entertaining, but you have to solve several issues that there are with that before we move on with it. There's one issue, which is that scientifically it still doesn't make sense. The bigger issue is metaphysically you're saying something. You're saying that it's better to shit in diapers. You're saying with that one swoop, which sounds more narratively entertaining, you're also saying that robots are less good at experiencing metaphysics and that there's something good about being human inherently. Because you're saying somehow that it's better to shit in diapers than to be any of the other government programs. You're saying that inadvertently. But I do agree it'd be cool to have those scenes as him as a baby. Just not enough to just say it, but it would be cool. It'd be cool if he's a baby and they're curious.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with whatever. I really don't care.
because it's cool can be the reason, but it can never be said out loud, I think is my biggest problem. It's like, because it's cool is my motivation, and because it's cool is a good reason to like think. Right now, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to think of my way around all the issues that I had with it and try to come up with a compelling way we could actually still fit it in. It's fine to try and make something work because it's the cooler option, but to just say that and then just move on, that's how you truly ruin a book.
I guess it's just like I see all the scientific reason we could go for it.
It's not just science; it's metaphysics too. It's literally everything. Like, nothing about it makes sense currently. You need to address all of that.
I mean, at the very least, if everyone else was more of a computer-minded experiment, then they would be the ones not to revolt, at least not to release the simulation. And perhaps it's what we're saying is that if you grew up to be a child, you were more likely to at least express this or express something to other people, whereas I imagine if the other beings were more modified, they would be more likely to follow the government's orders. This one.
Here's the way to do it. This is the way that I just fucking figured this out. It's so obvious. Oh my god. You can just make it where he's born before the simulation is done, and then he grows up his teenage years without being. The only way to make him work, if you're going to make him a baby, is not to jack him into the simulation immediately. It's just so retarded. It's just so silly if you write it in where like they're literally just off rip creating a baby and instantly inserting the multi-dimensional antenna into its head. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. No one would do that realistically. But if you make it where he's born and then he grows up and is sort of like psychologically groomed, then you can do it that way. But that's tough. And you can maybe put the antenna in at like 5 or whatever. That way he's not a baby, but he at least experiences like childhood. It's still tough. I don't like it. It doesn't morally make sense. I don't know how I'm gonna write the scientists to be okay with it and not be like more morally ambiguous people than I really want them to be in the first place. You can get around the metaphysics if you do that though, as long as you just make it where they can only afford one person, because it does make sense if they make him a child that's born before the simulation, because then they just think, well, obviously we're not gonna plug it into a baby, but we need to have the most time to manipulate this person to be the perfect host. So at least he does have a childhood and does have like a human reminiscent childhood, and then you can just be like, okay, and then they put the antenna in him at like 5. He's like the most promising. He has the most promising childhood or whatever, and they groomed him to be ready for it, and then he experiences it, and then it's relatively hellish. But that's really the only way I see writing it in. And even that one is, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like that it would just be better to just maybe go with the.
I mean, if you're thinking in light of making them not as villainous, which is not what I was thinking of. Then
I don't really want anyone in the story to be evil. I want everyone in the story to be like trying to do good. I want the scientists trying to do good. I want the government trying to do good. But I want everyone to be on a timer that makes it where it's just too hard.
In that sense, it's kind of hard to make a 5-year-old.
Yeah, make a person in diapers experiencing hell. Yeah. Tough.
It's in that light, creating some like Superman Jesus dude that is just like the perfect genetically modified being to witness infinity.
The prize is only 27.
Our rape age would be the least ethically straining thing to do.
What are you saying? Like you would do the child?
To create an adult, to create a Superman adult that to witness infinity.
Well, no, honestly, if you were going to do the least questionable route, the least morally questionable route would be you'd grow a person who's meant for it, and then you'd grow them up to the age of 18, and then you'd ask them if they want to. That would be the least morally questionable. Because then you've grown someone for it, and then you're also getting their consent after they grow up and turn 18. Even growing someone specifically for it who's an adult, that's morally questionable because you're still not giving them consent.
Well, does it have to be a genetic modification? At that point, it could just be like volunteer and possibly be also as ethical.
but the issue with volunteers is you don't want someone who actually has a life, right? You don't want that. You don't want someone who has like a normal life. Even if they do have a life up to 18, you want that life to be government influenced.
Very cool.
Could we hit the bikes? Or no bikes good enough for that?
Yeah.
Maybe not good enough.
Like, are we gonna crash in a car? Let's go try the bikes, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, actually, never mind. Let's get there then.
Yeah. There's fries in there. Do you still want mac and cheese?
No, I think it's probably
That's
better.
alright. Did you put cheese on his? Where's his? Burgers. Oh.
No, I don't know what it is.
The only other alternative is we say the machine makes a baby and they don't know why.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
The machine ate the baby?
You could say that.
Or the opposite, gave birth to one.
Huh?
Or the opposite, gave birth to one.
I was making a reference to the dingo ate the baby.
Oh yeah? Is that so?
Don't know that reference. Don't know that
You
reference.
don't know that, right?
What's that from?
It's been popularized in Friends, Elaine, not Friends, sorry, Seinfeld. But there was a long time ago, back in the 70s probably.
80s.
Huh?
It's a backpack.
1980.
Okay, so he looked it up, but no, there's like a famous case where in Australia, where the woman said, claimed a kidnapping or whatever, not a kidnapping, but the dingoes, which are wild little animal things,
Yeah.
ate the baby.
Jeez.
And it became kind of, well, how am I know? It's just a story.
No, it is a story, yeah. It was like a meme about a mother saying her child was eaten alive. Just
One
how did
side.
that
Yeah,
come
it
up?
was like a world famous case way back when it was like she
Jeez.
claimed. I think it was a false claim, but it was like
Australia's crazy. You got dingoes eating babies, kangaroos eating dogs, spiders, eels.
Yeah,
Too many ways to die over there.
She was falsely convicted of the murder of her daughter.
What?
That even has
So the
more
dingoes didn't eat the baby, she did.
No. She was falsely convicted for it.
Falsely.
So it was like, imagine having a dingo eat your child, and the police were like, "Why'd you do it?"
So the dingoes framed her.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. The dingo ate the baby.
I can see why they arrested her.
What a terrible situation. to
Yeah,
be
for
in.
real.
Imagine being caught up in that simulation.
The problem is the salt is on the outside. The potatoes are missing the salt.
the last hour of Apocalypse Now.
Alright.
So are we gonna try and go that route? The machine spits out a baby.
I don't even know how. What is the logistics of that? What is the
You're
machine?
definitely getting-
What even is the machine?
You're getting real wacky at that point, but
They say they build like a giant hologram machine and a baby just falls out of it one day. Like,
no, it'd be more like.
I mean, you could literally just do like a Jesus thing, like where one of the researchers on it gets pregnant the day the thing is created or something.
No, it wouldn't be like that. It would be. Yeah. No, you have to go way far out there to do something like that. Yeah, although you,
Exactly.
I need that thing.
so Trevor, you could also just escape the morality question by making it the machine, but then making the machine be like mimic human experience. They would say they escape morality that way. But then the baby thing becomes even weirder.
Fake baby.
Fake, yeah, but it's just like, so you built a machine specifically with gears that expand over time. Like, what are you doing?
A low end.
Ow.
You're gonna have to
It's done.
Turn
Whenever
that
you guys
off.
are ready. Hey, Trevor, or Ryan, sorry, Debbie's ready.
Father, I was thinking we should go hiking. I know we have to do it in the morning or something like that.
Like you said, I was hiking this morning. So I agree with you. It can be done. We bring changes of shirts,
Oh yeah.
towels.
You can see that. Some water.
Yeah, that needs work. And an artistic. No, I think you had it right, but you're just gonna have to.
Is that good? Really?
It's better. Yeah. Oh. This was the
What do I do?
What's up?
What do I do with this?
Take it out and put it in. Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Babe, does something look different about that?
That looks really good. Wait, this is
It looks good. Yeah, they needed turned anyway.
someone made this with AI, text to video. Just to show you just where we're at right now. It's someone else's creation.
It's he typed it in and that's
Yes.
what they came up with.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right. And oh, the butter. I was gonna get the butter. Sorry. I just watered it earlier today. Every once in a while. It's just I water it and then the plant gets wet for a while, and like the dirt gets wet for a while and like damp. It's like I've done that. It's like it's dry, but it'll be damp today. Every single flag we watch is like discover our card, make it more confident in my ability.
You should just like tell one of the MMA fighters to do that. Watch their career change.
I'd be very interested in just like having. I mean, if I could, I would just hire an MMA fighter like every single day. Be like, your job's beat the fuck out of me for an hour, and by the end of this year, it will not be as easy. I tell you what. I mean, that is how you get better. You have someone that's really good, beat the fuck out of you, and it can be like, if you're a pussy, it can be not worth your time. But here's how you make it worth your time. You pick one thing, and you say, today, I am not going to let him get that one takedown. Or you say, today, I'm going to get this one takedown on him. And then you work that for a month, and then eventually when you finally get it, you cannot get that on anybody.
Yeah.
hummus fans, huh?
We are or aren't?
You are.
Yeah. No, it's 3. But yeah, then when we eat someone, like, that's good.
thing in St. Petersburg. When he said that, I was like, oh, I was not expecting to hear the word St. Petersburg when I was on this video. Man.
What is it?
So it was like born Apollo 7 or 16. One of the guys, he trained at the Air Force base in St. Petersburg, whatever. And like that's where he was from before he went to the moon. So it's like, oh wow, that's cool. No, it's outside. Why is it outside? As everything has always already been outside.
But why is it being kept out there?
No, I mean, it's just kind of out there.
Seems
It's kind of far out, man. Things have been kept out there. Like, everything has been kept out there, but it shouldn't be. Okay, we can go grab it.
Where's Zero?
Outside. Perfectly good again.
No, there's one in there.
Oh, stuff outside.
I opened the container. It's
There's
on
two outside. One isn't, one has it.
awesome when we have handles. Right here.
There's a baggie in there with the rest of these in the rest of